What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the show, man. Recap with Mo, where we getting ready to get into another episode breakdown of Tyler Perry's Ruthless, alright? But before we get into this episode breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss shitsnet that's going down right here, alright? So the episode that we're going to talk about tonight, Season 4, Episode number 7, titled You Have to Play the Game. And the synopsis for this episode states that Ruth's plans to escape may be deterred when she learns disturbing news concerning the children. Manny and Lewis have a new difference of opinion when it comes to their belief in the Raku. Alright, so now that we got that up out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this episode breakdown, alright? So we start this episode with Ruth. As we all know, she was in the children's trailer, and while she's looking around and she's like, what in the hell is going on? Well, the kids, Sister Bridget walks in, right? Now, I don't know why she didn't hear the keys jingling or nothing. Maybe she left it unlocked from the outside. I'm not sure. But when she walks in, she was like, hey, why are you in here? And Ruth is like, hey, I'm in here to check on the children. So Sister Bridget is like, now, you know that's not allowed. You need to get up out of here. And then while they're conversating, Sister Bridget is like, oh, you're supposed to be wed to the highest. And she was like, yes. So Ruth is thinking in her mind at this time that since she's about to be wed to the highest, that Bridget is going to give her a little leeway, right? Well, she obviously thought wrong, because Sister Bridget wasn't going down like that. She was like, no, as a matter of fact, you need to just get up out of here. And Ruth tries to, stand 10 toes down with Bridget and say, look, now you're going to tell me where these children are. And Sister Bridget is like, absolutely not. See, since you already don't know where they are, because he states, oh, you don't know? So that means I probably done said too much already. So anyway, that is null and void for Sister Ruth. So she gets upset. She's a little teary-eyed right now because she's a little concerned about her daughter at this point. So then she makes her way to the outside, and it doesn't get any better from here, because the absolute one person that you do not want in your business at all is the elder mother. And it just so happens as Ruth is leaving the children's trailer, the elder mother is right there in the midst. So of course she was like, oh, why are you in the children's trailer? Well, Ruth is like, oh, I was coming to check on the children. Well, of course, the elder mother is like, hold on, you're not supposed to be in there, and me gonna tell the highest. And she was like, well, you go ahead and do that. She said, I will. And so Ruth already knows that's an uphill battle that she's not going to win at this point, because they both go head to head quite often. So from there, she's just going to have to outsmart the elder mother. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, right? So from there, we see Zane bringing in a glass of water to Sister Lacey, who's laid up on this hospital cot, right? So Lacey is like, look, you need to get up out of here, because you're going to end up getting in, some trouble. And Zane is like, no, you go ahead and take your drink. Now, she didn't even drink a whole lot. So Zane pretty much wasted her time, because if you were that thirsty, that exhausted, it would seem like you would have taken a little bit more than a sip. But who am I? I'm not a medical doctor, right? But anyhow, so from there, Zane goes on to tell her everything that has gone down, and pretty much Zane is like, look, Lacey, you're going to have to just work the system. Because they're so foolish here. What you're going to have to do is just fake it until we can make our asses up out of here, right? So, while she's saying all of that, Lacey is like, look, you just need to be patient, and let me tell you some more shit that I've done since you've been locked up, or since you've been away, right? So she tells her that she believes that the highest, due to all the things that she's done for him, for his purpose. So she feels like she has the ear of the highest at this point. But then she goes on to tell her that, all the shit that went down with Manny, how she cut him up, and then also the most important thing of all that she really wanted to convey to Lacey was the fact that she shocked the elder mother's ass in the electric chair. She was so excited about that, and Lacey was like, hold on, this is a whole new Zane that I'm not accustomed to hearing or seeing, right? But Zane is like, no, I'm reassuring you that I'm okay, I'm good, all right? We're going to get up out of here, but I need you to be patient, and we need you to do what you need to do so we can get up out of here safe and sound. So from there, we see Manny and Jeff. They're standing outside of the gate, and Manny asks if Jeff believed that old boy didn't check for the cell phone from their guest. Remember in the previous episode that Aaron, one of the guests, who happens to be Jones' friend, or the friend of Jones, how am I saying it? The husband of Jones' friend Laura, he had a cell phone on it that he did not want anybody to know that he had, right? So the highest was holding this meeting, and of course the cell phone went off during the meeting, which that was a whole different situation because that could have went down totally different, but it did not. So Jeff was like, oh, well, everyone makes mistakes. And Manny is like, hold on, what the hell you mean? Like, do you think you really did it? But anyway, so they go into this whole dialogue about, the Raku. And Jeff is like, hold on, bro. I know you do not believe this shit that's spilling out of your mouth right now. And Manny is like, yeah. And he was like, when did you start believing all of this? And Manny is like, when she cut me. And he was like, obviously she cut you, Manny. And he was like, no, how would she been able to do that without cutting herself? And he said, well, she obviously did something. So from there, he talks about marrying her and making shit right, and then talks about being enlightened. Now, we're not going to get into too much detail, but Jeff was like, hold on, wait a minute, bro. You need to stop talking so damn much about being enlightened. And Manny's like, well, that's the only way I'm going to make this right for the Raku is that I got to marry her. But in order for me to marry her, I have to be enlightened. So he was like, listen, that ain't what you want. Because how do you think all of these children around here belong to the highest? Because he lays his seed up inside of them, and then the men go out and they do what they do, and that's how every child in the compound becomes the highest seed. So I'm going to leave that to your imagination without being too graphic, because I don't want this video to be banned. Alright, so you know what it is if you watch the show. Alright, so from there, we see River and Ruth. So Ruth is torn up right now. She doesn't know where her daughter is pretty much sticking a bone in her plans right now because she knows the money is coming today, but she really wants to find out where her daughter is because she's really fearing the worst at this point. Like, where the hell is my daughter? And did they do something to him? So when River shows up, she was like, did you know anything about the kids being moved or anything? And he was like, what? Like, I didn't know anything about that. So from there, he was like, well, he said, damn, that's what it was. So he was like, last night, I thought I heard something that sounded like a trailer. Not a trailer, but like a tractor or some sort of something like that. And she was like, damn, you couldn't tell me? He was like, I didn't think anything about it, but that's probably more than likely what it was when they were moving the kids. So from there, she was like, look, I'm eager to find out what's going on with my kids. But he reassures her, though, that nothing is going to happen to the children because the highest has always stated that the children are the shield of the compound. Meaning that if shit goes down with the government or anything like that, that they're going to put the children in the forefront. And I'm like, damn, like that is ridiculous, bro. The highest is a complete psycho. I'm just saying that completely. But that's what he meant by they are the shield of the compound, all right? And now that we're talking about the highest actually shows up in his Rolls Royce, and Aaron is still outside of the gates. So when they reach the gate front, what's his name? Daikon is like, hey, you want me to take care of that, your highest? And he was like, no, Joan, you go ahead and take care of that because that's your friend, that's your buddy, someone that you already knew before you got here. So of course she gets out of the car. So when Joan goes over to meet up with Aaron, she tells him that the highest is allowing him to come inside of the gates, but she's also letting him know as well that I'm aware of the cell phone. And he was like, oh, my apologies and all this shit like that. She was like, no, bro, you embarrassed me because you reassured me from the get-go that you did not have a cell phone. And you lied to me. Most importantly, you embarrassed me in front of the highest. So when we go inside of these gates, I need you to be on your best behavior, because right now all eyes are on you, and of course they are on me because they know that I'm friends with your wife as well as for you. So she reassures him that, hey, you do what you need to do, you're going to be all right, you're going to be able to run into your wife, but you also need to understand your wife may not love you the way that you think she loves you, because she might already be in love with the highest. And he was like, oh, that's a little bit too soon. Well, she was like, well, shit, he already been looking at his videos for a while, so she's probably in deep love with him already, with the way that, you know, those words roll off his lips, you know what I'm saying? So maybe she's already impacted by everything about him. And he was like, well, we'll see. All right, so from there we see the highest and Daikon. They're leaving from the car, and Daikon has duffel bags in his hands, and River is waiting there so very patiently for the highest to return. And River's like, how are you doing, your highest? And he was like, yeah, we're doing great, River. And he was like, may I assist you in any type of way? So the highest is like, yeah, grab one of the bags from Daikon. Daikon is like, no, your highest, I got it. And of course, the highest is like, hold on, wait a minute. He says, go ahead and let him get a bag. Daikon is like, no, I got it. Now, Daikon and River, they have this situation going back and forth, because Daikon is jealous of River because all the time that he spends with the highest in the boom boom room, right? And he wished that it was him in the boom boom room. But unfortunately, it's been River, because River is able to talk with him, and old boy needs to be on the outside on the front lines with the soldiers, right? So he doesn't get all the time. So he's a little bit jealous. And he also doesn't trust River because of what he's seen from River in previous episodes, right? So he was like, no, I'm good. So anyhow, yet and still, with all of that being said, River still brought in a duffel bag of money inside of the trailer. So the highest still had his way. When they got inside, the highest sent Daikon to go get the money counter, and he conveyed to River that they almost had $2 million. Keep that in mind now. And when River said, oh, for us, and if you look at the expression on the highest face, he was like, oh yeah, for us. I honestly feel that his intentions are not well at this point. I don't think he's really concerned about the compound at this time. I could be wrong, but I honestly feel like he's probably trying to set some of this cash to the side just in case shit don't go well and the government comes in there and he needs to get a way out. All right, that's just me. So anyway, going from there, we see Ruth and Joan. So as Joan is walking throughout the compound, she sees Ruth coming by. And she conveys to Ruth that the highest has over $2 million. Now, if you recall, what he told Rivers was we almost had $2 million. Joan says we got over $2 million. So where's the rest of the money? I guess the truth lies in between, right? So, of course, when Joan conveys this information to Ruth, Ruth is like, okay, cool, I'm good. That sounds good. But her mind is not there because she's thinking about where her daughter is at this point. So she conveys that information to Joan. Joan, I feel like she's honestly been sincere at this point. Like, oh no, I'm sorry to hear about that. Like, I didn't know anything about the children being moved or any shit like that. But of course, Ruth, you know, she has this hard time trusting anybody. And I understand from her past that she's lived an effed up life, and it's hard for her to just trust and believe people for who they say they are. So in this case, I know it's harder because in this compound you can't trust anybody. But Joan has pretty much conveyed a lot of shit to Ruth, letting her know, hey, I got your back. If you scratch my back, just let me know what you need me to do. Now, I know everybody has their sneaky ways, but anyhow, it is what it is, man. So listen, Ruth, you're going to have to do a better job with, you know, working these things out with both River and Joan. These are the people you're trying to escape with along with your daughter. Like, I don't know how you're trying to, you know, work this part of it with the system, with the money, and these are the people that can give you the money. Definitely Joan. You need to definitely be nice to Joan because that's where the money is coming from. But anyway, so from there, Ruth is like, okay, if you really want me to trust you, then I need you to figure out, how to get the elder mother off my back, because River comes over and he got this smile, this big ass smile on his face, and they was like, what the hell you smiling for? And pretty much he conveys to him that, hey, the highest wants me to count the money. So Jonah's like, okay, well, you can go ahead and take that smile off your face. Like, we got other issues that we need to think about, and we need you to stay focused instead of smiling so much, So anyway, so from there, we see, like I said, Ruth had told her, hey, if you want me to trust you, I need you to work this shit out for me. So Joan sees Manny, and she goes over to talk to Manny and pretty much tells him that she needs him to go to the elder mother and do it in earshot of Ruth. And she needs him to tell the elder mother that he's been waiting at her trailer. So make it look like, it's not a lie or anything like that. But he was like, okay, will I get in trouble? She was like, no, you won't get in trouble. Then he says, but it's a lie. And she was like, well, it's for the Raku. Now, of course, Manny is trying to get all of this shit together because down below it's not good right now. So he needs to do whatever he can for the Raku, for the situation down below to be corrected, all right? So we're just going to leave it at that. So from there, he agrees to do so, and it is what it is. So from there, we see Daikon and the highest, they're talking, and Daikon states that they shouldn't allow River to know where the money has been, being placed or whatnot. So Daikon and the highest go back and forth, and the highest is like, shit, you don't really trust him for real, do you? And Daikon really can't tell him much because he's already conveyed to the highest that he's told him everything. So if he tells him something now, the highest is going to be like, your ass lied to me because you've already told me, previously that you've told me everything. So I can't even trust you, Daikon. All right. So from there, Ruth shows up to come in and get Laura to get her cleaned up, to get her robed, because right now she's still currently standing in the trailer butt ass naked, all right, with powder on and shit like that. So as Ruth and Laura are leaving the highest's trailer, Aaron notices that Laura is walking along the side of the pavilion outside. So he attempts to go after her, and what's her name? Joan says, no, you're not about to embarrass me once again. You need to calm the hell down, focus on what you need to focus on, because right now ain't looking too good for you, bro. And he's like, no, something is not right with her. She looks like she's on something. What did he give her? She was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. He did not give her anything. She's enlightened by the highest. He was like, no, F that. She's obviously on something because I know what it looks like. This is my career. Like, I know exactly what people look like when they're high on something. So it's like, you need to calm down. Because if you don't calm down, you will never see her again, bro. And it would be a shame. I don't know why she goes off whispering the same. I don't know, man. I don't know if you guys have ever caught that before. She would repeat that same phrase over and over. Like, I think it started when she started staring down Ruth. I think that was the previous episode where she was staring her down real hard. I was like, damn, Joe. So anyway, man, from there, we see the highest and River having this conversation, and the highest pretty much tells him that he has plans for all of this new money that they're getting, and they have one more stop to go get enough money for them to move the compound completely, because he has plans for a new heaven. So initially, like I stated before, I'm not sure exactly what plans the highest has in store for the Raku people here, but I'm not sure what he means by this new heaven as well. Is he saying a new heaven for these Raku folks where they going to sleep Betty bye, or is he talking about a for real new compound? Because it seems like to me that he's thinking more so about himself, but I could be wrong at the same time. Let me know your thoughts down below. But anyhow, going on from there, he asked Daikon while they were out, hey, did you give me some new magic? And of course, Daikon was like, yeah, but I don't trust this guy. All right? So the highest is like, it's cool, just give it to me. And they go back and forth, and the highest is like, are you defying me? And Daikon is like, no, sir, I know your highest, I love you. That's why instead of you taking it, give it to me. And I was like, what the hell, bro? Like, if it got something in it, why you gonna take it first? Like, you guys are so... Anyway, man, so the highest is like, look, I'm not gonna take it. You think it's fentanyl in it, something like that. Look, I ain't gonna take it at all. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give it to we'll give it to River. And of course, Daikon is like, yeah, go ahead and give it to him. And he has this little smirk on his face, right? And you see it right here. And the highest is like, hold on, bro, you're a little dirty. You wrong for that. So I was like, hell yeah, he wrong for that. But he tried to get he tried to get rid of River, man, so he can get closer to you, man. So from there, he says, no, I'm gonna just share it with my guests. Don't worry about it. So Daikon is like, yeah, that's cool. So he finally gives him the package, all right? So from there, we see Laura and Ruth at the bathing area on the compound, and Laura's like, ooh, it's such a waste to get all this powder off of me. Every time I smell it, it just makes me feel good. And Ruth is like, oh yeah, that's just the power of the Raku. That's the power of the highest, the essence of the highest, and there's more to come from that. And she's like, cool. So while she's standing there, she's watching Laura bathe and whatnot, the elder mother shows up, and she was like, me here that the highest has returned, right? And Ruth turns around and she was like, yes, and he actually needs you to make the food for, I guess, Laura. And she was like, oh, the other ones can get it. She was like, no. He asked for you specifically to make the special food, after the ceremony. And she was like, oh, okay. And then after that, me will go down and talk to him about you being at the children's trailer. And she was like, no, you would do no such thing. So while they're in the midst of bickering and going back and forth, Manny shows up and he was like, elder mother. And she turns around and like, what? All right. She turns around and say like, what, Negro? And he was like, yeah, I've been waiting for you at your trailer. She was like, for what? And it was like, yeah, you told me to meet you there. So, of course, Ruth doesn't know the conversation that he's had with Joe. So she was like, oh, so you had him come over to your trailer so you can do what you need to do with him? And she was like, no, he's lying. And she turns to Manny and she was like, why are you lying on me? And he was like, I'm sorry, elder mother, I'm sorry. So I'm surprised that he kept a straight face and he didn't reveal anything. So he held his ground because he tried to get that thing down below together, right? So he walks off, and then Ruth is like, so you tried to have old boy meet you at your trailer. How do you think this going to go over with, the highest if he found out you had old boy at your trailer or waiting on you? And she was like, oh, you are trying to set me up, Ruth, thinking that since I had old boy at my trailer, supposedly, allegedly, then I can't tell him about you being at the children's trailer. So Ruth is like, look, let's go see what the highest thinks about your situation and my situation. And who do you think he's going to believe? Well, the highest loves me. That's what elder mother says to her. And she was like, well, let's go down there and see. So anyway, the elder mother is like, you are so evil. Now, that's ironic that the elder mother is calling Ruth evil when we know good and damn well that the elder mother is evil as hell. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Anyway, man, let's move on. So from there, man, we see Joan, who comes up on Ruth, and she was like, hey, you owe me one. And Ruth is like, what the hell are you talking about? And she was like, well, I know you didn't think Manny thought that up on his own to come to the elder mother. So Joan, once again, is saving Ruth's back, and Ruth can't say thank you the first. Like, Ruth, what in the hell is going on? You're going to have to learn how to treat people a lot better if you want to get up out of here safe and alive with your child. This ain't going to work. This little attitude, feeling like you high and mighty, is not going to work if you're going to get to your ultimate goal, which is to get the hell up out. All right. So from there, we see Andrew, who's dumping this car off in this small ass pond. I don't know how that's gonna hide the car. I'm quite sure Tyler Perry's gonna figure it out. But I mean, I could have walked across that pond, and I only stand about 5'9", so I don't know how it's gonna hide the car, Tyler. But I'm quite sure you would figure. I'm quite sure you'll figure it out, bro. But anyhow, so he calls Daikon after he's dumped the car off, and he was like, "Is it done?" He was like, "Yeah." Daikon pretty much conveys to him that he knows about the whole situation that went down. Seems like he's had some problems, and he was like, "No, it's good." So Daikon is like, "Well, come on back." Andrew was like, "Look, it's going to be a little bit harder. It's going to take me a little more time to get back because it's hot right now." So Daikon is like, "Look, we don't need no heat. That's why your ass should have killed the lady out there on the road, so you wouldn't have nobody identifying your ass." And he was like, "Look, we've killed enough people. Daikon don't care nothing about that, bro." Daikon is like, "Look, get the job done and come on back home so we can get the hell up out." So Andrew is going to continuously stay out there, work his way back to the compound safely without being noticed. I hope so. But anyway, from there, man, we head back to the compound where we see the elder mother who is now coming into, it looks like the healthcare facility part of the compound or the infirmary. I would assume that's what it is. So that's where Lacey is stored, and she's on this hospital cot, right? So the elder mother comes in to check in on her to see how she's doing, and she says, "I'm going to talk to the highest for you." And Lacey's like, "Yes, elder mother." She's like, "We're going to make this work out for you. We're going to make this good and right and put everything back into order." And she was like, "We're going to find a way. We're going to have to figure out a way to make the highest appreciate you and bring you back into the fold." So the first thing that she shows her is this red robe. And Lacey's like, "Hold on, wait a minute. Red is the color of abomination." And she was like, "Exactly. You're going to wear this robe so people can remember always that you are not to be spoken to, you're not to be helped." I was like, "Damn, man, the mother, like, she's already taken enough punishment. She's taking bullet holes. She done been, stuck in the chest with a knife or a sword and all this shit like that. And then in the midst of all of that, she done lost her boo. Like, she done taken enough. She's taken enough, elder mother." But the elder mother is like, "No, that ain't it, though." She said, "To make everything right, I'm gonna talk to the highest, and I'm going to put together something where you're going to get pregnant." And I'm like, okay. But Lacey raised up like, "Okay, what the hell?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna talk to the highest for you about you potentially getting pregnant, and I'm gonna have Daikon soldiers come in and seed you every damn day." I said, "You got your gall sitting up here calling Ruth evil, elder mother, and you sit up here talking about you going to have multiple men coming in and seed her every day? For real?" Elder mother is crazy, bro. And then she said, "Oh yeah, not only that, not only are you going to get pregnant, but I'm talking about 7 children." I was like, damn. Anyway, man. Oh, man. Like I said, elder mother is getting worse and worse, man. But anyhow, man, from there, she's getting ready to make her way up out of the infirmary. And when she's getting ready to walk out, she notices that there's that glass of water that Zane brought in. And she was like, "Who the hell brought this water into the room?" I was like, hell to the no. Come on, Zane. Like, I noticed in the earlier part that she had left the glass of water, but I thought she would have had the gumption to at least come back and get it. But obviously she didn't. And the elder mother is now inquiring, who the hell left it, because she was letting no girl suffer. So it wasn't no water in the mist. All we know is the moonshine was down below that she was drinking on. So hell no, man. So I don't even know what to say, man. Let me know what your thoughts are, man. I think it's about to go down before it gets better. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with Ruth and the child situation. What did the highest do with the children? Who knows what he's doing with them? He could have them somewhere, taking drugs different places. Who knows what the highest is doing with the children right now? So, do you think that Lacey is going to be able to get out of this without any trouble? And do you think it's going to shut down for Zane? Because the elder mother, the highest, everyone has been singing her praise for the past few episodes. But now that the shit has hit the fan, potentially, will this go bad for Lacey? And Lacey can't take the heat, and she just spills the beans on Zane, and Zane has to take the repercussions of this shit as well. So let me know your thoughts down below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss shit that's going down here on Recap with Mo. My apologies once again for my voice, man. My voice has been going in and out with these allergies, man. But I'm just showing you guys my dedication to get these recaps and these reviews out to y'all. So with that being said, man, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.